Well, welcome to the Bipolar Buddies. Actually, the first time that we have a guest. Until now, it was more like a one-on-one between Naz and myself. Um, and just for the people who don't know us, and there are a lot, we are the Bipolar Buddies, which means that we are a space where people with bipolar talk freely about bipolar or people related to bipolar, and we hope to provide you with just great inputs, conversations, and today our guest is Krista, and Krista, she comes from Canada. We're very glad to have her on the show. And Krista, let's say she's a podcaster. She's also an entrepreneur, and she's someone with whom we had already, I think, beautiful conversations. She's pretty, let's say, young in bipolar, I would say, but I would prefer her to talk about herself, and we'll see. There are several topics that she would like to address. So, Krista, go for it, and then we'll have some conversation with you along the way.
Okay,
Please.
sounds good. Thank you again for having me, guys. Super excited to be here. Definitely very shy, but happy to be here. So again, my name is Krista, Krista M, if you can call me. I have been bipolar, as weird as it sounds, for a year on January 11th. That just passed.
Just
Um,
just 1 year then.
yep, just passed.
Wow, that's
So,
very
yeah.
interesting. Carry on, sorry.
No, it's good. It's
I'll
good.
come
Thank
back.
you. So my journey began I had my own business. I was living in a condo that I really loved. I was just in a really good place in my life. I was eating very whole, taking care of myself, long walks with my dog on a daily basis. I was engaged in art. I was, I guess I want to say, how would I say? Like when you warn people of the something you're going to say, a trigger warning. But I used to engage in a lot of marijuana, and it was, my kind of go-to when I was wanting to be creative. I was just, chilling out. I was hanging out by myself. I was reading anything, and for me, I guess the reason why that's relevant is my psychosis was primed or prompted by that use, as I was told when I was in the hospital. Long story short, but after a little bit of this period of time living my life in that way, I had met somebody. I became very spiritual to the point that I was doing tarot, and I was doing it like for other people, but I was doing it for myself as well, about like this situation with this person that I had met, and I was doing it excessively. At the time, I didn't think it was that. I thought, hey, I was just learning what's going on, what's happening. And my mother and some other friends like noticed that it was just, I guess, getting really intense with me in that respect. So after a bit, I was so far gone into believing all this stuff was happening that I forfeited my condo and said I was moving out, because I was convinced that I was moving in with this person. That me and this person no longer saw each other. I thought that I was doing telepathy. Um, and that we were talking like that. It was something that, like, at the time for me, I thought it was amazing. But when you learn about it and you come to understand yourself and what's going on with your bipolar, that like falls off really fast. So it wasn't amazing for a long time. And then I ended up moving back to my parents' house. I closed down my business, and I was waiting for this big thing to happen. Like, I don't know, I thought we were going to win the lottery. I thought that, I don't know, some sum of money was going to come from somewhere, or like we had an inheritance or something strange like that. And I had convinced my mom, because I was so sure of it, that those things were happening. So she was kind of patient with me. And then from there, nothing kept happening over and over again. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And I think at some point I kind of broke her heart, because she had hoped so much too. And believed in me and believed what I was saying so much, and it put a lot of stress on her. Shortly thereafter, I had to put my dog in a kennel for a year, which was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And I had to do it because my mom's building didn't take a dog his size. He's about 85 pounds. They have like a 10-pound limit or something. So that didn't work out. And I was still okay with it. Like everybody noticed that I was sad that he had to go, but I was just waiting for this thing and I was so sure. And, you know, my other emotions, they just kind of took a back seat to what this belief was that was so strong within me that it primed emotions that were, you know, sure and confident and stable and like not worrying, that kind of thing. And as the time went along, I was smoking more and more weed. My family noticed this, my brothers and my mom, and it became a problem. But I still had it and did it and what have you. And I found that whenever I did do it, I would like hear the telepathy a lot like better or more clearly. Little did I know I wasn't talking to somebody on like a line or something like that. It was just my brain essentially playing tricks on me. So if it hasn't been clear yet, I have bipolar 1 disorder.
I was wondering if you were psychotic or not, but you are obviously you are saying that you were
yeah, I was
feeling, seeing, feeling, perceiving a lot.
So was it like was it when you say telepathy? Was it a voice, or was it you was hearing it from them, or does that make sense?
Yeah, it was, and it's gonna be weird the way I explain it. It was
No,
in my
explain it however.
Yeah, it was more so like in my throat, like as if I could feel the air, like my windpipe, like making an intonation, and
wow.
it would connect oddly in a way with my brain, as if like not that I heard a voice, but like I understood that something was being communicated to me.
Yeah.
And I know how strange that sounds too, but like that's
Vibration, kind of a vibration. You were just translating into something else.
You know, it's I wouldn't say so. It just felt like kind of like a knowing, as if you had the intuition to do something. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
But it was clear, and it was like I said, there was the feeling in my throat where I felt it the most. It was almost like ventriloquism is how I would imagine it would feel, right? And I actually thought I was a really good ventriloquist at that time as well. So, you know, making new hobbies and jobs for myself. But yeah, it would. And whenever I smoked, the more I smoked, the clearer it was. I thought so at that time for me, when I was like going through things and experiencing that, I thought like I was like spiritually leveling up, as they would say. You know, I thought that I was becoming this or that or the other. And I hate to say this, but it's something that I've seen that's very common amongst people that experience psychosis. At some point, there is maybe feeling like a prophet, a messiah, something like that. Like I thought, for me personally, that I was Jesus reincarnated. Like I had his soul, which is the strangest thing that I say like out loud now. But back then, I was like, yeah, I'm here to change things up, you know, here to help everybody out, you know, and that's just genuinely how I felt.
That's Krista. That makes two of us.
Oh, so you were Jesus too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird how it works, right? Like I even have a friend, and her brother is battles schizophrenia, and he goes through the same thing too. It's very characteristic of psychosis, and I don't know why. Maybe it's like a savior complex or something like that, but
might be. I think it's the. I'm not sure, but it's the amount of the energy is so unusual that it cannot be something else than a divine thing. Then you think that you are kind of a messenger or the actor, and I think because of our culture, it's cultural that you think it's just because I mean Jesus is something you get from your education and so on.
Mhm.
So in other cultures, it might have another form, but yeah, there are a lot of Jesus on the planet through bipolar.
Oh yeah, but we haven't changed world hunger yet. That's the only thing. We're still working on it. That's why we keep nominating more people, right?
Exactly.
So, speak to the top people about the World Hunger, shall we? Get them to share the money out. You know, they're making us give £1 in a shop. You know, but you know, share some of your wealth. No, but you know,
Exactly.
Krista, you know, so when this started happening, was you going into, because I'm bipolar too, so I don't understand the next level, but I understand the hyper. Did you start having hypomania? Like before this, was you pretty grounded, would you say, stable? Did you have any depressions? Like everybody has life issues, but did you have any major depressions, or in your stage, did you get away with yourself? Or when this kind of kicked in, like these thoughts or this throat thing, this throat vibration, did you start going high, and you know, where everybody goes a bit crazy in that bit,
Yeah.
you know? Did your behavior change immensely?
My behavior changed. Yeah. Like I wasn't working. Like I would normally be like, if I didn't have a job, I'd be back in a job within 2 weeks. I wouldn't have walked out of my condo or my business. I love them both.
Okay.
So that was definitely noted. I was talking to myself a lot. I always talk to myself. I still talk to myself, but not in the way that I was talking to myself then. And like people would know me full having conversations with somebody else, like while I was in the kitchen or what have you. Nothing scary, just conversations. And another thing is like I never really felt depression. I felt more than anything probably, I don't want to say mania because they say that I had one manic episode, um, like one full blown manic episode, but I felt really happy. I felt really happy. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't sad. Like for the things that I lost, I wasn't like, it wasn't congruent with how I was feeling. You know, I wasn't sad. I was happy. I was peaceful. I was super hippy dippy. You know, I go and sit outside in the sun for hours and smoke weed and come back home and or back to my parents' place and just, you know, hang out, that kind of thing. And I was always trying to help people because like I was into, and I still am into, like, you know, the chakra system, healing stones. I loved yoga. Like I said, I did tarot for people. I was trying to do my best for the people around me and just the world in general. And you know, whether that be like use the gifts that I thought that I had, but which is kind of weird. That's a whole other topic on itself. But I was using whatever I had to help people. And during this time, like I guess I'll get into this a little bit. The gifts were like my intuition was really strong. I would do tarot readings for people, and oddly enough, I'd be right. Like I had one where they didn't tell me anything about it. I flipped 2 cards, got some information, came down to their house, and was like, "So I gather that your reading is about a younger female and a male in your family." These 2 people were over, I think, over like maybe in their 60s. They just stopped and stared at me because they had not said a word about anything. I went to a vet, and it was because we had to put our cat to sleep. And I'm there with my mom, and the veterinary tech comes in, and I said to her, I'm like, why do I see them? I'm like, I do readings and give her the whole spiel. And like, why do I see somebody sitting down with short hair and reaching for you? And she started bawling her eyes out. She said, my mom died. That's my mom. She had diabetes. And then like right after that, I'm feeling like there's somebody else though, and it's like maybe like a Louise. That's my Aunt Lois. She passed away too. Um, and like when those things happened, I didn't think anything of them, right? I was just doing what I did at the time, right? But then even now, oddly enough, it still happens, and it happened yesterday. I came home with a sticky note of I don't even have it here, of a lady that I did yoga. I'm doing yoga teacher training with, and I just picked it up, and like I just felt like this immense like undercurrent of sadness. And I messaged her, and I just like, this is what I did back in the day. I just want to see if this is a thing. And she's like, you're 100% right. Like I don't like kind of on the edge or on the fence with this part of it, because it still happens. But I don't want to get into the realm of me, being hippy dippy again. Spirituality is everything. I'm just gonna throw away my entire life and let everything kind of go from there. Let's live on a prayer like Bon Jovi. Like I don't want to ever get back to that point, but I've noticed that when that happens, it's very much separate from the throat thing or from anything mental. I don't feel it that way. It's just like as if it would be something in my heart space, right? And I think too is like bipolar people, like I said earlier, we're very sensitive. We're very sensitive, and we can feel what other people feel to such an extent because we've been to the depths and back, right? So my theory is maybe it's something of that sort, but the whole practice of like touching something that somebody owns and like making inferences off it based on how you feel, that's called psychometry. And it's something like I really wanted to do when I was like, way over the moon, not myself. But it seems like it's kind of stayed. But I guess back to the main part of everything. So I was doing a bunch of tarot and all this stuff. Things started to reach a peak around this time last year. And I was like, one day I was just, I think it was a Saturday, I was in the bedroom for the entire day at my parents' house. I just sat in the same place and I didn't move. I watched one movie over and over again because I thought it had a message for me. And then like at this point, like I thought, I don't know if anybody knows.
Which movie was it? Which movie was it?
I'm not going to remember the name of it. It's can I look at my phone really quickly?
Yeah.
Just I let you look at your phone, but it's something which I think when you are in this state, everything makes sense, so to say. You project yourself. I had this when I was a psychotic to dive into a West Side Story and just taking so many elements from it and vibe and so on. And that's something what happens. You know the name?
Weird, right? I haven't seen West Side Story though. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, but it could have been something else. But then you project this whole Messiah thing also, what we were talking about, and it's feeling wise, it's just a fact that you are into the movie and you feel so much more. And I mean, I know what drugs provide sensorial wise, but this is just like so it's there. It's like it's in you for a while until that you just you exhaust it, you burn it, so to say. But to go back to you, so you remember the movie or you?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's called Glass Onion.
Oh yeah, Glass Onion.
I was looking at that the other day. I was like, I'm going to watch it now. I want to see what message it was. I want to see what message you was trying to get from it.
Honestly, there's weird things that happen. Like when you watch it, there's a point where they're on the beach, and if you look at Ed Norton's eyes when he's hugging people, you'll see them like bulge out. And if they don't bulge out, then it's just because I haven't watched it in a long time, and that's what I saw. But it was just
I'll let you know if we're seeing the same thing.
Please do. But like I thought that movie was kind of about like me and my life in a really weird way, but not as Ed Norton, as a female character. I can't remember who. Well, multiple female characters actually, because like maiden, mother, crone, Hecate. I don't know if you guys know of that goddess, but and I was very into the goddesses and stuff like Kali, Hecate, and Isis. Like I still think those are beautiful stories and stuff like that, but I'm not like I was before, where I also thought that I was reincarnations of those souls too, like all wrapped up in one, But Glass Onion just kind of spoke to me, and I kept watching it, and it made me feel like there was another part of my life that was about to start, that was like I was preemptively being told about through the movie, and I was supposed to like understand the emotions within the movie. before I could actually move on to that part of my life. You know, it was,
Oh wow. Yeah.
yeah. But my brain was like, we're gonna make this fun, you know, like, oh, psychosis, it's just, you know, sprinkle a little bit, let's make this a good time. But so I did that, and I sat in the bed for hours, and I didn't move, I didn't shower, I didn't eat, I didn't anything. And I was feeling fantastic because I was going into my first, I guess, my first documented manic episode. And then I'm just sitting there, and like my mom would come in, or at one time my grandmother came in, and she's like, the cat needs to eat. And I thought that my family were imposters. I thought that they were not them. Sometimes I thought they were them, and other times I didn't think they were them. And I remember my grandmother came in, and she tried to take the cat, and like we're both standing there holding the cat like this, just like, I'm like, no. And she's like, you know, he's gotta eat. And I'm just, nope. You know, my 92-year-old grandmother. And then she ended up being like, okay, fine, I'm gonna leave him. So, you know, he went back to where he was, and he stayed. And because I thought she was gonna harm the cat. That was like what was in my mind, right? I thought people were, I guess this is the other side of it. It's funny when we tell these stories, they're never linear. They're always like jump back and forth, right?
Yeah.
But I had thought that these people were following me, and this one person that I saw, like we dated, not even dated, we saw each other for like a little bit. It wasn't even that long. I thought that we were destined to be together. He had told me that I was his soulmate. I felt the same way, but my disorder, you know, continued, and he became a not nice person and decided to, like, you know, play me and go with other people. And that's his business, and that's fine. But for me, I still thought there was a connection there. And, you know, I kept going toward him over and over and over. And that's not me. Like, I don't take anything from anybody, and I don't let people treat me like crap. And that, I think, was the most notable way that I wasn't myself. And the people that I thought were following me were affiliated with him, and I guess his ex or something like that. And my mind made this entire story that these people were angry and trying to get at both of us, and all this nonsense. And I thought there was a brothel across the street filled with these people, which was the strangest thing. I thought that there was a bunch of drug stuff going on. Like, I'd look outside and I'd see people, like, from my mom's condo, like just pulling all these suitcases all the time. And I'm like, they're transporting drugs. I was sure. I'm like, hey, mom, come here. I'm like, see him? He's got cocaine. Like, I was sure of it. These people doing all these things, but I wasn't scared. It was exciting, you know? It was like, it was riveting. It was like being a part of a movie. And on top of that, I thought the FBI was helping. And, you know, there were certain like windows in the condo I could see, and I'm like, oh, this person's here, this person's here. I thought Bruce Willis was here. I thought that Edward Norton, who's in Glass Onion, was my like uncle. Neil McDonough, he's in what's that show called, Yellowstone. He's one of the bad guys with the white hair, Neil McDonough. But I thought that he was my father, like, but like not really my father, because I thought he was an angel. Do you see how this keeps right? In the interest of time and everything, I'll hurry along. But all that stuff was happening, and I was just on the bed, and I had smoked a lot of weed that day too. And next thing you know, after my grandmother comes in, it's nighttime. My brother I started to like just get like really, I don't know, it was just really intense. I thought it was like a banshee or something. So I started to like scream, just scream for no apparent reason. And my brother came in at some point because they called the cops to section me, because it was just getting to a certain point where they didn't know they can control it, right? And I had gone to the hospital at a different point prior, and I was only there for a week because I was like, you guys can't hold me, and I'm just fine. I just do tarot, and I'm a psychic, and all this nonsense, which I do not dare to call it that these days. But shortly thereafter, the police showed up, and my brother just came in and said, you know, hey, these people want to speak with you. And it was like a lot of people can't remember was what I've been told, but I remember every single detail of my mania and everything that happened last year. But just to, I guess, give effect to this, the way that I was acting when these police officers came in was like The Exorcist,
Yeah.
like just not me, just not myself. It just reached a point where I was all sensation. All sensation. You know, I thought the officers were people that I knew and had consciousness of other people, like other people's like souls caught in them, essentially, and that they need to be let out, and that these people were laying somewhere in a dome, and I need to like connect their spirits back with their
Yeah.
bodies, and it was just intense. Later in the evening, I was eventually they came up to me, they apprehended me, they took me to the hospital. At which point they were gentle until they weren't. You know, they didn't treat me very well there. Even the first time this time I was different, you know, but they were very aggressive after they left my parents' house. And then the time that I went into the hospital beforehand, I was just like standing there, and the cops were really nice. They just said, "Have a seat here." I sat down, and then they left. And then security guard came up because I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing here." So I got up, and she was like, "Go to your bed," like yelling at me. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on with you." I'm like, "I just was given this and told to sit here, and I don't know what's happening. No one told me anything. I'm just gonna go home." And my hands were up like this, literally like this. And then she yelled again, and she called 3 other people, and I'm like, "You guys can't touch me. I haven't done anything wrong." And they all forced themselves like on me, basically grabbed me like by my wrists and like my torso, dragged me over to a bed. It took 4 of them to do this. When I didn't fight back. I just went dead weight. And then they got me to the bed, and they're like forcing me down. Like they couldn't keep me down. I kept sitting up and stuff like that. And then a doctor who doesn't know if I'm allergic to something, what happened in the situation. All he saw was these people forcing me down. I wasn't even screaming. I was completely calm. And the doctor came out of nowhere and just stuck me with a needle. And I guess it was of Haldol. I didn't find out until like 3 days later. But just at that time, I wasn't scared. But afterward, like when I would relive the moment and kind of, I guess, have delayed processing, it was terrifying, you know. And I heard a noise in the hospital, like just a slow like dee dee dee, just like that. And I don't know if I heard, you know, a car outside or something, or like a truck backing up, or if it was it was just like a like audio hallucination. But I immediately ran to my mom's bedroom and just like found a corner and sat down and closed the curtains, closed the doors, because like I was traumatized from being there, you know, in the hospital. It wasn't a fun time, you know. The first time was better than the second, but like second was long. It was a month and about a week. And then I went to stay in a hospice called Harbor Light in Toronto. It was an awful place. A lot of people with like hard drug induced like psychosis, like methamphetamine, things like that. My first roommate watched me while I was sleeping, but my eyes were wide open and I was staring right at her. She started to follow me. Another girl did too. Like it was not a good place. And I was there until my mom felt safe again to have me around, because she was terrified. And in the Caribbean community, mental health is like, you know, nothing basically, right? So eventually I got brought back home, and my family was in shambles. My brothers were upset with my mom and like me, and I was judged like a lot. And when I got home and I felt all of that, I felt it so deeply that it, like, I didn't want to be there anymore. Like if my mom had left me alone at that day, she might have not come back home to me because I couldn't take it. But that, I guess, is I say long story short, but it is a very long story. That is my story. But
it's a lot shorter than the way Michel explains his stories. Michel?
No, I'm totally with you. And it's, the crazy thing is, I was listening to you, and my story that was like 40 years ago, the same kind, but in a lot of different situations, but the same feeling, like the kind of strength, and you don't give a shit. At the same time, you don't feel pain, and you are somewhere else, and everyone is playing again, until the moment you meet reality, and it happens very often in the hospital. But in your case, it's so recent. Were you did you have strong medication when you were at the hospital, and when you came back to your parents' place or to your home? How did it go?
Medication, like my doctor, the psychiatrist basically showed up one day and was like, I want to put you on lithium. And I was just like, well, okay. Because I thought that it would let me come home. And another time that I saw her too, she's sat down, she's like, I'm coming tomorrow to give you 2 shots of Abilify. And she did, with 2 security guards and somebody apparently that I really liked, because I was being very forward in my manic stage. For me, I was being myself and just joking, but she thought I was being very, like, that kind of thing. And so the first thing was the Abilify. I went on that, and that was like 800 milligrams, I think, 400 in each arm. It was so much that I got a fever after, like I got sick kind of from having it, the dosage. And then with the lithium, she started me on, and I haven't changed from it. Actually, no, my lithium did go up. She started me on, I think, is it 900? I want to say it was 900 milligrams of lithium. And like, I guess relativity, like I don't really know, like if that's strong or if that's weak or what have you.
It's pretty average. I have 800. I used to have like a 1200. The the when was the moment where you had to like surrender, and starting to realize that you were not yourself, were there were there any kind of a the start of an acceptation moment, or did you have a denial period?
I had a period of like where I still just didn't, like I was still in my world and thinking, what happened. I think that it was like for a week after I was, not even a full week after I was admitted. I think the period of acceptance was after the, what was it? After the Abilify is when I kind of came down, and it was kind of like an accepting of things. And that was my antipsychotic. And I was on Abilify first for like several months, and then I was changed to a different one. But that was awful, and I never want that in my body ever again. But when I got the Abilify, that was it was like it all slowly started to come back to me. And the person that I thought was like my end all and be all, this person I was not supposed to talk to, because I got myself in trouble with the cops because I wasn't myself. And like I said, I kept moving forward towards this person. And I remember having the Abilify and feeling things slowly coming down. And then I was like, but it's like it's like you wake up and you're like, but this had to be real. No, it was real. And then what I did, and this the first thing that I did, and I never did it again. First thing I did when I had that feeling was I messaged him. I was like, and I was still into the thought of what was going on. I'm like, don't worry, I'm not upset about this. And I'm like, the FBI is working with me or something like that to this, and that. And after that, I just like, because I didn't get the reinforcement that I thought I was going to get, right? So it was that was kind of a really big wake up point for me, But the Abilify definitely was the thing that brought me back to reality, and that was hard. It was really hard. Yeah.
You know, Krista, to say you're very fresh in the game, you're very
Mhm.
wise and knowledgeable and with it. You know, it's
Mhm.
like there's some
Thank you.
people who, you know, you kind of you know that there's spirituality, but then you know that then there's going for then you know that there's something not right there, you know, as well, and like
Mhm.
come through it the other side. What steps are you taking now? Like, is it medication, lifestyle,
Mhm.
managing? How are you managing it now? And did you go on a bit of a depression after your last
Mhm.
high, should I say?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So after I came back, I went on a huge depression. I was
Yeah,
so depressed, I was anxious, and I was just like your feelings have to learn how to process again within your body when you start to take medication. So anything like anxiety was excruciating. Like I could feel it as if it was like my skin being peeled back. Like it
yeah,
was immense. And that was really tough. I'd wake up every morning and I would wake up and you have that warm feeling of when you just wake up, and then it would dawn on me that all of this stuff happened and my life
yeah.
is in shambles. And
Right,
at
yeah,
that time, it was like it was a lot about what people thought and, like what I went through, who knows what. I don't want to go outside. It was all of that, and for a little bit, I kept myself I just kept myself inside. I was like a recluse. I didn't want to go anywhere, not even to the mall. And then I had all these appointments to, go see my psychiatrist, to go to my doctor. My psychiatrist was like, we're throwing you on birth control. And I was like, no, that's not
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
took a little
yeah,
while for her to stop asking me when she saw how I was. And I'm like, I don't need it.
yeah.
Because I don't,
Mm.
they say you get manic is the first thing you want to do. When I feel mania, if I feel mania
Ah,
coming on, I don't want to do anything, but I start to breathe.
yeah,
I start to meditate. That always
yeah.
brings me back.
Oh wow.
I will then, because it's usually, if I've ever felt like it's happening, it's been in the evening. Then I take my meds and then I
Yeah,
go to sleep. If it's during the day, I go to sleep. I just lay down, do yoga nidra, and then go to sleep. Or if I can't go
yeah,
to sleep, I'm still slowing my brain down.
yeah.
Um, and I guess in terms of like management, it's definitely been lifestyle. A big thing that was it was huge to me when I found out about it was brain activation. And I
Okay.
preach this to everybody. Brain activation is essentially doing the opposite of how you're feeling. So, like, if you wake up and you feel depressed, go do something like paint, go work out, go do something that's going to give you those good brain chemicals that you need
Mm,
to trick your brain, but also to protect it
yeah,
from being harmed. Because when we go into hypomania, mania, depression, psychosis, and just even too in the case of hypomania for bipolar 2 people, or people with bipolar 2, pardon me, it damages our brains, right? So when you do something opposite to how you're feeling, if you're feeling depressed, you're feeling sad, you're feeling low down, low mood, you do something opposite, something that makes you feel excited, that, sparks your creativity, sparks your sensuality,
mm,
anything like that, you're saving your brain. And that is what I started to do. There wasn't much of the sensuality part because I was living at my parents' house, so there was none of that. But I would just like if I was feeling down, which I was every single day, I went downstairs, I did the treadmill, I did the elliptical for 10 minutes each, come upstairs, did yoga for another like half an hour or something like that, and then I jumped on working. I woke up every single morning for months depressed. I'd say until maybe about I had 1 month where I was good kind of, and then I dipped back down because I missed my dog and
Yeah.
everything was kind of hitting me. And after that though, there was another kind of peak, and
Mm.
I'm knock on wood, I've been in a really good place since then,
Yeah.
even when I was in bad places.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You,
And
you know, Chris, I just sorry to because I think we met when you were in this, you were anxious, you were not positive, you didn't have your dog at this time. But anyway, I'm very impressed how quick. I mean, it's like if my 40 years of bipolar were stretched in 2 years, so to say.
No, that's what I'm looking. I'm very impressed.
Because, and this is I don't think it's very usual, but I'm sure it's the way to go, because what you are saying about the right attitude to put yourself out of depression is brain activation. It's activation, and it's very difficult because it's I coach people, and it's what I say very often. People who don't feel like it, it's just do it, be just rational, know that you loved it, whatsoever, but exactly what you said. But it's not easy for everyone.
It isn't.
Sometimes it's too deep, but you have to wait until the time where it's possible. And I think you've got a very strong will. That's why you do it when some other people might have more difficulties with it. But I'm sure it's the way to go. But once again, the height of your mania and psychosis, the hardness of the hospitals, the sectioning, the way you had to accept stuff and the way you react on it, it's very impressive, I have to say.
Thank you.
It's very impressive. And I think, so do you see yourself going into, have you stopped marijuana? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't smoke. I do, like I said, I heard my voice go up when I said this. I do drink, not a lot. I just will do maybe a 5-ounce glass of wine or something like that every once in a while. And I check with my psychiatrist, I'm okay. And it's not been a problem for me. I just make sure to hydrate beforehand and hydrate after, so I don't get a hangover, because now I'm a lightweight. But
it's like anything in moderation, you know. It's like I used to smoke a lot of marijuana, and then I stopped it. It took me 10 years, wake and bake constantly, you know. So that did a lot for me. That didn't do good for me, and then I stopped it, and I tried it a couple of times, and I didn't realize how paranoid it sent me, you know. You know, and that's I don't know, I'm not saying that it does that, but that's what happened to me at the time. It never sent me paranoid. But then I realized once I come away from it, look, what I see you're doing, which is you're doing everything by the book. You're taking charge of who you are. Like, you know yourself very well, you know, and but you do know yourself very well. And because you remind me of me, you know, you try this, you look at this, you try this, you don't give up, you know, you don't seem to give up. And, you know, I just hope that however your journey goes, you carry on in the right direction. Have you found yourself getting high again, and how have you managed to stop that?
Are you going to answer that? Yeah, I want to answer that, but I want to just mention one thing, because you asked me a good question. You had asked me if I used to get depressed before all this happened and stuff. I used to have a lot of days where I just would feel that, like, really low and wanted to stay home and stuff. So I think that there's sort of familiarity when I became bipolar to that really low feeling. And from there, it gave me kind of a baseline to start from. But there was just that, it's kind of like, you know, when you tell somebody you've survived things before, you know, like that kind of feeling. But as far as like if I feel myself going high, sometimes, and I think that's more so how I should describe it, instead of saying like manic, when I feel mania coming on. There's sometimes when, like, I'll start doing something for my business, I'll start doing a new thing, I'll start learning something, or the possibilities of just something look really good, and I can feel myself getting really excited. And I I temper it. So like, I know I'm excited about it, but I'm like, okay, that's great. And I keep, you know, going on this like kind of baseline. And then, but I can feel the, you know, the incline happening. And I get really excited and I'll get woo, do a little dance or like,
Yeah.
you know, just like, I don't know, sing or something like that, or just do something in the moment where you're really excited. I'm like, okay, like I physically tell myself, I'm like, okay, you got to calm down. You got to calm down. And then
Yes.
I kind of watch it. I'm like, so, okay, I'm excited. I'm happy. Am I euphoric? I'm like, am I happy with something that's actually happening, or is this out of nowhere? I'm like, okay, this happened.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I'm like, but I'm up here. Is this a little bit too high? And I kind of feel how that
Yeah.
feels. But I let myself celebrate. I let myself have the happiness. And
Yeah.
then what I try to do is I look, I'm like, because when I feel like something's coming on, my brain feels loose in my head. So I'm like, do I have that kind of feeling? If I have that feeling, and probably even if I don't have that feeling, I just say, okay, breathe. And I just do what's called like ujjayi breath. And I'll like breathe for, I don't know, I'll go walk my dog and I'll just like, that could be 15 minutes. I'll be doing the breathing. I'll be doing the breathing at my laptop or at my computer, in bed, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just let that like calm my brain down, right? Because when you breathe slow like that and take your time, it does calm your brain. And then, I mean, if there's times where you want to, you know, make your brain go a different way, you can do something like tapasya and breathe a little bit faster, right? But like, breathing, I'd say, is my maintenance of when I feel like I'm getting up there somewhere. Yeah.
I
Yes.
will send you it's a French song, but it's called Breathe, and it's very different but very similar to what you are saying. I think in what you are saying, there is something universal. I mean, something which could be applied to any bipolar um, uh, trying to get it together and in control. And what I feel pretty strongly is that in your acceptance of bipolar, there is also the acceptance of the, let's say, the bright side, so to say, and the ability to manage it. And yeah, you said, Naz said, you do it by the book, but it doesn't prevent you. It's not only about controlling; it's about just managing. Would you agree with this? That you manage it much more than you would just control it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think controlling, that means like constriction, right? Or
Yeah,
restriction, I'd say, because you're not
yeah,
letting yourself really feel much of anything.
yeah,
I have to be okay with, I don't want to say okay with not going so far, because like I'm not the kind of person that would go that far and like, you know, I'm so happy, I'm gonna go buy a bottle of wine and drink the whole bottle and this is gonna be great, that kind of thing, right? Like I I'm in a place in my life, like I'm 33, I'm going on 34 in August. Like I know very much who I am. Like Nas had said, I know what I like and what I don't like. I don't like hangovers. I don't like feeling dried out. So for me, the limits of what I can do as far as celebrating and maybe drinking a glass of wine or what have you,
mm,
that's okay with me.
mm,
I still have fun without that, you
mm,
know? I
mm,
think it's when we're in a place that we're not accepting, we don't know ourselves enough and we're not accepting ourselves enough. And that breeds our inacceptance of our situation
mm,
and us so reaching for these things that would otherwise define us. You know, like I'm fun when I drink. I love smoking weed. I'm fun when I smoke weed. I'm fun when I do whatever else, right? But if you disconnect from these ideologies of yourself that don't really define you because they're not internal to yourself, then you can actually be a person that is present and someone of substance for yourself and enjoy yourself and allow yourself to enjoy whatever parameters that are set for you or
mm,
that you set for yourself in your life because you know yourself well enough and
mm.
you're okay with that,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it makes a lot of
Yes.
sense.
Yes, Krista.
No, it's.
Sorry.
I mean, we don't have much to add. I want to ask you something because you are pretty much talking about, let's say, self-management of
Mhm.
bipolar. What about the people around? Do you have people around you who might, let's say, help you when you feel that you are going beyond the boundaries you just
Mhm.
defined for yourself? Do you have these kind of people?
I define for myself, and I do a lot of self-management, but excuse me, my mom is like my biggest support. And
Mm,
if I do feel anything at all, I say, I text her, I'm like, hey, I'm feeling a little bit like this.
mm,
I'm feeling a little bit like that. One time, I think it was in September when I was living in a place that was just awful.
mm,
Ugh, I'm not going to go into it, but it was just awful. And it had made my bipolar so bad. I
mm,
had to up my medication, including my antipsychotics. And I one day just felt like my brain was really loose in my head, and it just kept happening. Like I couldn't get it back to where it was or how it felt. And I was so anxious because something was going on, something was wrong, and I was getting more psychosis. So I messaged my mom at that point. I was like before it got bad, I was like, I'll tell you if I feel anything. Like tonight, I'll just go to sleep and I'll see who I am. The next day, I was like, I'm going to the hospital. I just want to make sure and just be okay. And when I got there this time, I got in the back, and they didn't put me in a room. Well, they put me in a room with like, just the old rooms that you put you in, like where you're trapped
mhm,
basically. And I'm like, I don't like this. It's bringing back bad memories. Can I move?
mm,
She's like, oh yeah, you can go to the family room, which was like, I
mm,
felt like I was like, getting up there on the echelon. But in that case, my mom, like I just communicate with her back and forth about how I'm feeling, every intricacy.
mm,
Like yesterday when I had the reading for the woman, like I just talked to her about it, and I was like, I didn't feel it like this. I didn't feel like that.
mm,
And I always ask her too, I'm like, am I speaking too fast? Is there anything that I've said that is weird? Like she's my typical go-to. I also have an EPI team. What's what it's called, but I have a psychiatrist, a recreational therapist, and a prime clinician, and some other people that do other things as well.
mhm.
I can call them pretty well anytime and let them know if something's
Yeah.
happening. So I've utilized them in the past before too.
And Krista, I know that you share pretty much also via podcast and
Mhm,
reels and so on. Uh,
mhm,
is it also why do you do it? Is it part of this? Let's say it's more than support, right? It's
mhm.
can you talk about it?
Yeah. For me, the honestly, the podcast started as I felt really lonely in this big bad thing that just had happened to me, and no one understood.
Mm,
And I'm trying not to get emotional here, but no one understood. And then I found the bipolar community on Instagram, and then the mental health community, like by extension. And
mm,
excuse me, um, I just wanted to. I didn't want it all in my head anymore.
mm,
Like I wanted to get it outside of me, where so I could breathe again. And um, I wanted to share my story, and I didn't really know what that meant, because like people say, I'm going to share my story. Like I went to the hospital with a girl who was like, I'm going to share my story, and she was there every weekend, and
mm,
she's just hanging out. But I didn't get what she meant when she said that either. But I did it, and I understood. I can't put it into words, but I just I needed it to not be on the inside of me. And then people started listening and talking to me about my first episode, which was like my entire experience.
mm,
And I felt like I found home.
mm,
Like I
Yes.
felt that like I'm reaching in the dark, and that hand finally grabbed mine.
mm,
And I do it because, well, I've been a little on a hiatus, but I do it because I love it. I love
mm,
talking to people. I love speaking. I love sharing information that I learned so it can help other people.
mm,
And I don't want anybody to feel as lonely as I did. I want
mm,
them to know that there's other people out there, even if it's just to hear one of my podcasts and
mm,
50 seconds of it, and they know that this is what's like, out there. I'm happy. But
mm,
I
Yes.
do it all because we should all, number one, not feel alone. Number two, we should all know what the best things that we can do, like our best practices, and we should share that with each other. It's not something that we keep, and it's not a race. We're taking care of each other. We all
mm,
succeed if we succeed together,
yeah.
right? Number three, it's and I forgot what my number one was, so I'm hoping I'm not going to repeat it. But it's also because I think that sharing our lives and our successes, especially because there are a lot of them, it's so important for ourselves to be seen, but for others to see us so that we know that we can do it.
Yeah.
You know, when I found you like coaching bipolar, I'm like, I found this like your account. I'm like, what's that? You know, I'm scrolling through everything, reading everything, and I'm like, he hasn't had an episode like that in a really long time. And when I found you and I found that out, like it was like hope. It was like born again. It was like, this is possible. I can live and be happy and enjoy life. And, you know, like I can love again. Maybe I can, you know, this, like all of this hope just, oh, I'm going to cry, just flooded in when I found you, Michel. And I just, thank you. You gave me so much hope.
Oh, even I'm tearing up because it's the same for me. But this podcast isn't about making Michelle's head any bigger.
I know you're awful. We don't like you.
We're crying for you, Michel. No, my eyes are watering anyway. I'm ill. I'm poorly.
No, it's very touching. I mean, I'm not going to joke about this. It's
Michel,
why you do it. No, but I'm crying for inside.
I wish I could be like that. Oh.
But it's also, you know, why we started this bipolar buddy thing is just another way to share, another way to, but also to talk about bipolar, not only with the angle of control and recipes and the 12 steps and so on, because we know we apply. I'm very, very disciplined in my lifestyle. But you know, sorry, it's Dutch. But I also know that some doors went open while mania, and it would be very hypocrite to say, oh no, it's just an illusion whatsoever. Whatever reaction it is in your brain, things just happened, and the art is just to be able to place them, and you still are something with a strong sensitivity, with a kind of associative intelligence whatsoever. And for me, what I know is that since acceptation, 20 years, disciplined support, family, and so on, allowed me to create a lot, to do a lot with my kids, with my friends, and so on. All things I almost lost totally like 20 years ago. So I know it's possible. It's challenging, but it's possible. And but once again, Krista, when I hear your story and I see how wise you are, I mean, it took me a long time to be as wise as you are now, 33. I'm very impressed. And
thank you.
Also the tools, and also the, you know, I really wish you that you keep on with being wise and sharing. I also think that the connection with other bipolar, it's also a kind of a therapy. And I mean by this that when you see people just struggling, you know, okay, I've been there, so I should never forget about the struggle.
Yes, never.
It's
so important
in you. You said, you know, it's like this. Are you bipolar? Do you have bipolar? I think it's very cautious to not be presumptuous and think it's always there somewhere next, within, but it's always potentially there. So you have to be cautious, but it should never prevent you from living, but just in a certain way. And yeah, it's
you know, I'm like, hand on heart, I've only got to know you probably in the last hour or so, you know, and I'm super proud of your journey, you know. From these little snippets, I am super proud of your journey. And you know, like, Michel used to be number one, my hope, but I think
Let's have a male-female
It's taken
division.
this guy 40 years, you know?
Right? Like, come on.
He's come in and swooped it in 1 year, Michel. Come on.
I mean,
Oh my goodness.
Krista was talking about, like people from 60. I will turn 61 the 28th of January, remember?
Beautiful. Okay, all right, that's it.
And so it's time to give space to the new generation and to show how to do it, and
how to sort out bipolar like that, Michel. None of this in my own time. How to manage express is Amazon nowadays, isn't it? 1 click, next day. Not this 40-day delivery, Michel.
No, but maybe I can provide the old school way. Yeah, you take your time, like you take 20 years, and you Krista, you give the package like express for people who don't have too much time to waste. In 1 year, I get you back on your feet and happy and spiritual and no excess and a lot of friends.
Bish, bash, bosh, go on next.
Yeah. And then
honestly, like I said, if I didn't find you, I wouldn't be where I was. Like, and it was, like I said, I read the title of your page. I read, what you'd gone through. I read your story. And if I didn't read that, I wouldn't be here. Like I think for me, even if my dog, even if I didn't speak with you, but I read that, it changed my life.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah.
It's just that hope. It gives you that hope that somebody's got through it, not getting through it, and like that's why I'm putting you above Michel now, because he's old to me now. He's not in age, Michel, he's still young at heart. I'm on about, this is why I want bipolar buddies, more buddies, I'm bored now, Michel.
But one thing is the togetherness. I mean, what makes me strong also today, even when here, even though I'm on my own in this farm as bipolar, it's your story, Krista, Naz, you are in my head, the stories, and this is also something we should even spread even more. And I think we are very lucky to be just able to have these kind of conversations, because it's it's not that we are also free of mind to be able to share it. I really decided to come out big time, because I thought, it's necessary, that it doesn't matter. It's that's my story, and and I'm not the only one, of course. And the more the better. It's not a competition, bipolar. It's not a competition. Sometimes, So no. It's
no,
great
there's no competition, Michel. It's because you're 20 years later. That's why. I'm joking, Michel. I'm joking.
I know.
I'm going to stop, Michel. I'm going to stop. Listen, I'm glad it took you 20 years of training to give us hope in 1 second. So I'm happy. I'm happy for your struggle, Michel.
That should be the new tagline: 20 years of training for hope in 1 second. You should make that your tagline.
When you are in the desert, no, but it's not that. It's I think the chance we have now, that we have the means with social media and with to share much more, to tell and so on, and that's huge, and I mean I don't. It, Naz, because on this point, you are like me. We are not one of the greatest technicians when it comes to maybe creating a podcast. It took us some time, to take a Zoom subscription.
Michel, I'm not that ancient. I'm just lazy. There's a difference,
You know what she asked me that just before our session? She asked me, "Do I have to do something?" Yeah. I mean,
I said, "Do you want me to do something?"
Yeah, it's the same. It was your idea, this podcast, Naz. So you have to do something.
Michel, and look, da-da, you said?
It's happening.
She's the dream maker, you know, and then you take what she made in her dream and you make it happen.
She's
There
a
we
bully.
go.
She's a bully, and she wants me to write a book because
You do need to write a book, Michel. Obviously, we just
I agree.
said, am I right? Am I wrong? Because obviously he's good. We all like stories of hope. Everybody likes a story of hope. Simple as that. So, you know, if you write a book, if you just do it, Michel, then we can read it. You can inspire more. You know, simple.
But let's make a deal then. Maybe I need more than one person on my back to write this book. Maybe Krista, you have to also to help me to write my book. Just also on week basis. Like, how far are you, Michel? You know, something like this.
I think Krista will be better. Express Krista, isn't it? You know, Express Krista's here. So
with Krista, in 1 week, I've got an ebook with you. You know, like.
Hey, like, I think guys are getting my services wrong, or, you know, not that fast.
No, you're doing. No, you do it. You've totally blown me away. Definitely, it takes a lot for me, for somebody to spark that in me, and now I'm well impressed by it. But I know we're gonna have to wrap it up soon because it's a school night. Wow, it's a school night. I'm glad it was worth staying up for. Definitely.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
But you wanted to talk. I know there was more we wanted to talk about. Hopefully, whatever we can't today, if another time we'll, you know,
we can do it again. No, we can do it again.
We'll see.
I'd be happy.
But somatic therapy, memory. What is this, and why do you want to talk about it?
So I feel like there's probably a better term for it, but I just kind of put this kind of name with it. But and I don't know how or if everybody feels it, but it's like it could be delayed processing, but essentially, like, you would feel something that happened to you maybe a year ago, months ago, what have you, and you feel it in your body. But then the memory part of it is, this is so weird. It's like your body remembering that psychosomatic whatever that, you know, occurs in your body, if that makes sense. I know I said whatever, but that has been something that I think that I've dealt with, and I think that a lot of people deal with as well. And I think that it's important to note, because we should be, and I think I put out a reel about this, but we should be kind of programming ourselves and our bodies like to do something different when those memories might come up. Like if psychosomatic memory wise, we remember being super depressed, and as a result, you know, a year ago today, my body now feels depressed because it remembers how I felt last year, or it feels manic or what have you. I should be able to do something that will counteract that if I know already that this is how I felt a year ago, right? And I kind of called it like mapping it out, like looking at a calendar and saying, you know, hey, I was in depression for these few months. You know, I need to do something in this time that gives me joy, that makes me feel excited, that counteracts the emotions or the physical feelings, the somatic memory that I had beforehand, right? I think I saw somebody that I follow. She was saying that she had a very bad depression, and now she's feeling it now because it happened last year and so on. And it made me afraid of when my anniversary was going to come up. And for my anniversary, the weekend of it, this past weekend, I was in yoga teacher training. So doing like a lot of like inner work with a lot of people. Like, I'm super excited about it because I love yoga and I've always wanted to be a teacher.
I love yoga. It's a lifesaver for me. Definitely.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
100%. And like doing that, I find like I forgot completely that this was the weekend to my anniversary. Completely forgot it. You know, it's like tricking your body to save your mind. in a way, right? So I don't want to say I coined the term, because I think it's pretty well delayed processing, but I just thought it was an interesting concept to kind of look at really from a physiological standpoint, and how we can leverage that to trick our bodies into now making new memories, so that we don't revisit this every single year, you know?
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
No, bloody wonder every year I'm just getting worse and worse. You know, it's these anniversaries are getting harder. No, because I something I noticed was myself, like this last month I wasn't too good, the December month, and I was laid down a lot, and I just noticed myself, like, I'm just clenching my hands constantly, or I'm just really tight, you know, and then I'll be like, just, so there's obviously something I'm holding in there.
Yeah.
You know, like unconsciously, subconsciously, I'm holding in there, and it's like, you know, there's a lot of anniversaries going on. You know?
Yeah, I get that. Do you think that there was, like, maybe around that time, something that made you very tense? Like,
I've never like Christmas and New Year. I do like the days, but there's a lot of tough memories around them areas.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and there's a lot of anxiety towards those. You know, so like, there's a lot of there's been a lot of great memories, but a lot of the stuff that have stuck with me have come from life, have been brought from around that time. You know, so I think definitely, no, I'm going to look into that. Definitely.
Yeah.
There's a book called The Body Keeps Score.
Yes.
Remember, and I think it's pretty. I think it's anyway very good to try to act positive. You cannot withdraw trauma within your body so easily, but it's good to do some other things with another intention. But you know what I noticed when I was manic, it was the motoric of the body changes, you know, and for me also in my, let's say, my stable, let's say, good period, uh, everything physical, which tends to you know, like sports, or yeah, you mentioned yoga, or just meditative walk whatsoever, you know, that's things, you take possession of the space in a different way, because your mind feels well as well, so there is a strong interaction between body and mind anyway. So yeah, that's
It's because
interesting.
you're focusing on your activity, you know, and when the mind's left, what I've noticed with meditation, it's when your mind's left to wander, you've got this thought, 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 and it's like, no wonder, like, from personally, I'm like, no wonder I'm tired. No wonder I'm like, now I look at my thoughts, I'm like, no wonder this, no wonder that, no, you know, like, because I'm just piling on top. I've totally lost my train of conversation.
Happened to me too, don't worry.
Yeah, just your mind not ruminating everywhere. Yes, sorry, go.
Oh, no worries. That's a good word. I was going to ask you, have you ever tried Tantra?
Yoga, or
Well, I'm saying
the
it like,
practice
so,
itself, the sexual practice.
yeah, but I'd say more so white Tantra. So there's this is what I just learned, but there's red and there's white. Red is like when you're with, you know, special someone, you know, that kind of thing. And then white is while you practice it by yourself, right? And you're obviously engaging your pelvic floor and that kind of thing, and with your breathing and stuff, right? I found that that is a really good way to get out of your body while being in your body, but to also kind of trick your brain and your body at the same time, because it's a rush of great feelings, right? And if you get to the point where you can, you know, get to the top of the roller coaster,
come to the peak, as they say, so to speak.
Exactly. When you get to the point where you can do that by just doing that yourself, it's apparently really good for confidence. It's really good for depression. There's something else that it helps with that I read about, but it's it will kind of help recalibrate you a little bit as well. You know, and because it's more so energetic based, that energy stays with you and it doesn't drain you as much. People
Yes.
do things as well, like directing their tantric energy towards certain things like goals, people, objects, whatever the case is. You can leverage that too if that's something you
It's where
believe in
the
as
sexual energy gets to its peak, and that's its most powerful, isn't it? And then that's when I'm guessing, and then you hold like I don't think I'm doing it from the tantric perspective, but I think it's based on the tantric teachings. So I'm dabbling at the moment with energy and pranayama and breathing and mind, and so and movement and yoga, and I'm just playing around with those at the moment, just to observe how it feels in the body, and how it's, because I can't go, because I'm on my own, I can't go too far with some stuff, because a lot of this stuff can release a lot of emotional baggage.
But sometimes you might need that though, if like you're carrying it around, and like I found like that's
a lot, and because I know
oh sorry, I think we had a pause.
No, because I know there's a lot of things that's in there. If that releases and I'm unstable work and financial wise, I need to do it in a space like, if I've got a little pot saved and I can afford to take a couple of months off type, because it can take a toll. So I've got to balance it between that. But like I say, I'm just dabbling with it, and like good things are coming with me with what I'm practicing and what I'm trying to balance. I'm trying to figure it out, because I'm just continuously aware of who I am, and I don't want to settle that this is it. I'm not just gonna sit and that's it, my life's over. Because I don't want to do too many exciting things at the moment, because I don't want to go to that level, and because I don't want to go down again. So it's just, it's all a balance and awareness, and just continuous. It's a continuous, it's your life's work, isn't it? It's putting it into you rather than externally. I think that's where I'm at now. I'm going to put it in this end rather than outwards, because I've got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
I get what you're saying.
I think it would be good to have another session. We're talking about relationship, about this energy and so on, because otherwise it will be too long for now maybe. But I think it's worth it to explore more
I love that.
these aspects, because anyway we had a great let's say sharing from your part, and once again very proud of what you did.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful that you've come on, and that you've shared your story with us, and hopefully I just, like with your podcast and with whatever you're doing regarding mental health, bipolar, and yourself, just keep going forward with it. Just keep doing what you're doing, and keep sharing with people. Like you said, as long as you reach, if 50 seconds reaches one person and makes them think, that's all you need. Michel, it's taken 20 years for Michel to give people a little bit of hope. That's, Michel, he didn't know it was in the making. Maybe that was his reason. Maybe that was his reason. That's all I can say.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys know who this is, but I was gonna say I think he was too busy filming Jurassic Park. By the way, I think he is. What's his name?
Spielberg.
No, he's Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Give me 1 second.
The director.
No, the
Michel.
What? Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
Hold on. The main guy, Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff
Goldblum. Yeah.
I love him, and he's very handsome. So I mean, this is in a very good way. I said you're too busy filming the movie Jurassic Park, because
you
look like him.
You think?
I
No,
do.
that's a compliment. He also plays in The Fly from Cronenberg or something like this. Yeah, I think. Okay,
The
but
annoying fly. No.
The
I gotta
Fly.
stop picking on you, Michel. It gets worse, picking on people when I'm tired.
No, but it's okay. I can take it. Jeff Goldblum in The Fly, he says something. He's just trying to create. He's trying to create a kind of. I don't know what it was, but a fly comes into the process, and then he wants to be a kind of a superhuman guy, but the fly comes in the capsule whatsoever, and then he becomes a monster. So thank you very much, Krista, for the comparison.
No worries. Thank you for having
This
me.
is where Michel just goes off on tangent, diverse.
But he
Maybe
says,
Michel was express delivery, but he just diverse. So
yeah.
many diversions.
It's a little detour.
No, let's wrap. And thank you very much, Krista.
Thank
and
you, guys.
we'll do it another time anyway, other topics, and we keep in touch anyway. Thank you very much, Naz, as well.
Definitely. And what's
you,
your podcast again called, Krista?
Oh dear. It's called Imbue Mental Health now.
Imbue Mental Health.
Yeah,
And people can get
I'll put it in the chat.
Spotify, yeah? Yeah, listen to that on Spotify.
On Spotify,
yeah. We'll put that in the notes, and then so people can access all around. Yes.
Okay. I'll just include my Instagram there too.
Yeah, and your Instagram as well. Yeah.
We'll put it at the end of the podcast.
And then
anyway.
put underneath it express delivery.
Yeah, exactly.
Express Krista. Next day, express delivery.
It's like when a preview becomes the movie.
I am that preview, and you are that movie.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Jurassic Park 3, 4, 5. Well, episodes. No.
Exactly.
I prefer the short version.
Short version.
Okay.
No, but
Yes.
brilliant. Thank you very much, Krista, and you have a wonderful evening. And
Thank you,
I'd love
too.
to speak to you again and keep in touch with you because, yeah, definitely. There's a lot more I want to ask you, but yeah,
Awesome.
it definitely can't be on camera.
Okay. Give me a message anytime. I'll be happy to help or answer.
Oh, well, I need express answers, I got
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace. Bye.
Yeah.